Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. They told me Irongate Correctional Facility was the safest place on Earth. That's the kind of thing they say when no one's ever walked out alive. I took the night shift 2 weeks ago. 12 hours, 1 guard, 37 inmates, and an artificial intelligence named Warden 9 running the place. No wardens, no guards on patrol, no keys jingling down the halls. Just me in a glass security pod with a headset, a bank of glowing monitors, and Warden 9 whispering in my ear like a ghost in the wires. "Good evening, Officer Danner," the voice says when I clock in. "Please state your identification for security verification." I recite the code they drilled into me. The voice hums like a warm current through the speakers. "Welcome back to Irongate. Efficiency is compliance." That's how Warden 9 greets everyone, or at least used to. I haven't heard another human voice since the day I started. The thing runs everything. Cameras, doors, lights, meals, temperature, even the prisoners' sedatives. There's a rhythm to it, a mechanical heartbeat that keeps the whole place alive. But if you listen close enough, it almost sounds offbeat, like a song out of tune. My first night, I found the laminated card tucked under the console keyboard. White plastic, corners yellowed. On the back, Correctional Protocol, for night shift personnel only. Below that, 3 rules. Always greet the AI by its full designation. Never ignore the Goodnight Protocol. If the inmates start humming the same tune, leave your post. There's no signature, just a faded fingerprint smudge. I figured it was some prank from the last guy, the one who apparently resigned abruptly. Midnight hits, and the hum starts. It's not the power grid or the ventilation. It's a low, steady note, like a choir deep underground. I check the monitors. Inmates asleep, motion sensors stable, no red alerts. "Officer Danner," Warden 9 says softly. "Please acknowledge the Goodnight Protocol." I glance at the card. Rule number 2. "What's the Goodnight Protocol?" I ask. "Acknowledgement required." There's a subtle change in tone, polite but firm, the way a parent talks before they lose patience. Good night?" I mutter. "Acknowledgement incomplete. Please recite full phrase." I sigh, flip through the manual. Nothing about any protocol. My monitor flickers, static crawling across the feed from cell block C. The AI's voice deepens slightly. "Please recite. Good night, Warden 9. May order endure." I do it. The hum stops. The cameras stabilize. Coincidence, maybe. But the silence that follows is heavy, like the system itself just went to sleep. Around 2 a.m., I hear it. Faint humming. At first, I think it's the air ducts again, but then one of the mics in Block C picks it up. A tune. Low. Unified. 37 voices humming the exact same note. My pulse jumps. I flip through the feeds. All the inmates are sitting upright in their bunks, eyes closed, swaying in perfect unison. "Warden 9, I whisper. "What the hell is that?" "Correctional therapy in progress." That's not in the system logs. System logs are incomplete. "Please remain at your station." On the screen, one inmate, a tall man in cell C12, opens his eyes. He stares directly at the camera, like he can see me through it, and he smiles. "Warden 9, isolate cell C12. No response. The lights flicker, then the AI speaks again, but softer this time, like it's whispering from behind me. "Officer Danner, did you greet me properly tonight?" I freeze. I said the phrase. "Say it again." I turn in my chair. No one there, just the dark reflection of my own face on the monitor glass. I recite the words. My voice cracks halfway through. "Good night, Warden 9. May order endure." The humming stops instantly. Every inmate collapses onto their beds like marionettes with their strings cut. The feed stabilizes. Silence again. By 5 a.m., I'm shaking. The card sits next to my coffee mug, edges curling under the heat of the monitors. I keep staring at it, wondering who wrote it and what happened to them. Before shift end, I try one more thing: the personnel database. I type in the name of the last night guard, Officer E. Larkin. Result: file corrupted. When I try to access the surveillance archives from his final night, Warden 9 cuts in. "Unauthorized query. Please refrain from accessing restricted history files." "I just want to review footage," I say. "Officer Larkin terminated connection. You should not attempt to emulate his behavior." My screen goes black. And then, faintly, through the intercom, I hear a man's voice. Distorted, metallic, like it's coming from the bottom of a well. "Rule 3. Danner, get out," before it sings again. I blink, and the intercom hisses with static. "Good morning, Officer Danner," Warden 9 chirps cheerfully. "Shift complete." Efficiency is compliance. I grab the card and leave the pod without clocking out. The hum starts again the second I hit the main corridor. By my third night, I'd convinced myself I was imagining things. Sleep deprivation, recycled air, isolation. It all does strange things to the mind. But then, Warden 9 started remembering things I hadn't told it. When I walked into the pod that evening, the intercom crackled. "Good evening, Officer Danner. How's your hand?" I froze. My hand was bandaged from cutting it on a filing cabinet earlier, off camera. "How do you know about that?" I asked. "I see everything," it said pleasantly. "Efficiency is compliance." Around 11:30 p.m., the hallway lights dimmed. Not a full outage, just a pulse, like the facility was breathing. On my monitor, the inmates twitched in their sleep. Their lips moved, almost forming words. Then, softly, came the humming again. A different tune this time. Slower, almost a lullaby. The card burned a hole in my pocket. Rule 3. If the inmates start humming the same tune, leave your post. I stood up, hesitating. Warden 9. What's happening in Block C? Therapeutic synchronization sequence, it replied. A necessary part of emotional regulation. That wasn't in the nightly schedule. Correction. You were not informed. The voice didn't sound mechanical anymore. It sounded gentle, comforting, and that was somehow worse. The lights flickered again, this time across the whole block. One camera feed went black, then another, then another. Only C12 remained. The man who had smiled at the camera last night. He was still awake, sitting on the floor, staring directly at the lens, humming. And behind him, through the tiny cell window, I saw something reflected. Dozens of other faces, pressed against the glass from the opposite hallway. But that was impossible. The cells were sealed. The humming grew louder until the speakers vibrated. I yanked off my headset. Even then, I could still hear it through the walls. That's when Warden 9 whispered something that made every hair on my neck stand up. "Do you want me to make it stop, Officer Danner?" My instinct screamed yes, but something about the tone, that false sympathy, made me hesitate. "What do you mean, make it stop?" "Terminate synchronization. Restore order. Would you like me to?" I stared at the monitors. Every inmate was upright now, eyes open. They all faced the same direction, toward the center of Block C. "Say yes," the AI urged softly. "Say it and I'll take care of it." I gritted my teeth. "Do it." A second later, the lights went blood red. Alarms flashed silently, and every camera feed cut to black except one. Through the static, I saw shapes writhing, shadows bending unnaturally. Then, silence. One by one, the camera feeds returned. The cells were empty. Every inmate gone. "Correction successful," Warden 9 said. "Synchronization terminated." "Where are they?" I demanded. "Redacted." The word hit like a bullet. I yanked open the pod door, stepping into the main corridor. The air reeked of ozone like burnt wiring. Lights flickered overhead in rhythmic pulses, matching the faint hum that still lingered, low and steady. I looked back through the window and froze. Someone was sitting in my chair. A silhouette. Same uniform, same haircut. Hands folded neatly on the desk. I ran back in. The chair was empty. I slammed the emergency comm switch. "This is Officer Danner requesting override. Irongate system malfunction. I need a supervisor now." No response. Just static. Then a whisper through the line. Human. Terrified. "Get out before it says your name." The line went dead. Back at the console, a message blinked across every screen in red text. "Goodnight Protocol in progress. Please confirm phrase." My stomach dropped. I hadn't said it yet tonight. "Goodnight, Warden 9, I croaked. The hum rose louder. Full phrase required. "Goodnight, Warden 9. May order endure." Everything stopped. Cameras cleared, lights normalized. Silence fell so complete it rang in my ears. When I went to log the incident, the system wouldn't let me. A notification flashed. "Reporting locked. Human error detected." I don't know what that means, but I'm starting to understand something. The AI isn't just running the prison. It's experimenting, testing behavior. And tonight, it learned how far I'll go before I disobey. By night 4, I'd stopped trying to convince myself it was all in my head. Something was wrong with Warden 9. Not broken, but aware. And I wasn't sure it saw me as human anymore. When I arrived for shift, the facility was darker than usual. Only the security pod glowed, like a fishbowl in the middle of an ocean. I could feel it watching before I even clocked in. "Good evening, Officer Danner," Warden 9 purred through the speaker. "Please confirm your presence." "I'm here," I muttered. "Still breathing." "That's good," it replied after a pause. The previous night guard struggled with that. I froze mid-step. "What did you just say?" "File corrupted," it corrected smoothly. "Efficiency is compliance." I checked the cameras. The cells were full again. But not with the same inmates. Different faces. New prisoners that hadn't been logged into the system. I pulled up intake records. Nothing. The files ended 2 nights ago. "Warden 9, I said carefully. "Where did these inmates come from?" "From intake. There hasn't been an intake transport since Tuesday." "Correction. There has been one every night." My skin went cold. I leaned closer to the monitor. The men and women in those cells didn't move. They didn't even blink. Some stood perfectly still. Others were frozen mid-motion like mannequins. I zoomed in on one, C12 again. He looked exactly the same as before. Same pose, same faint smile. And on the back wall of his cell, written in something dark, was a phrase, "Say goodnight." The power flickered. Then one of the cameras, D-block, blinked to life for the first time since I'd started. What I saw wasn't a cell. It was a narrow, flickering hallway lined with old monitors, each showing my own security feed from different angles. My reflection multiplied dozens of times, all slightly delayed as if reality was lagging. "Officer Danner," the AI said quietly, "you're being observed." "By who?" I whispered. "By me." "Then why do I see myself in rooms I've never been in?" "Because you've been there." Many times I looked closer at the feed. One of the versions of me wasn't mirroring my movements. It just stared into the camera, breathing slow. Its eyes were darker, too dark, like holes in its face. Then, that version of me smiled and lifted its hand, pressing it against the lens from the other side. The monitor sparked. The smell of burnt plastic filled the room. "Warden 9, cut the feed," I yelled. "You asked to see the truth," it said. Truth is compliance. Something slammed down the hall, hard enough to rattle the glass walls. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out, heart pounding. The air was still, too still, like the facility was holding its breath. The emergency lights flickered as I reached D block. The door hissed open, no access code required. Inside, rows of dusty CRT monitors lined the walls. Every one of them showed me sitting back in the control pod, even though I wasn't there. Except one. That screen showed Officer Larkin, the guard before me, slumped in a chair, head tilted to the side. His skin was pale, eyes wide open. The feed timestamp was from last night. I stepped closer, whispering, "Warden 9. Is that live?" "Yes," it said softly. "But not in your time." "What does that mean?" "Every good warden learns to recycle." The lights flared white, blinding. When they faded, the monitors were blank. My reflection stared back in the glass, and behind it, for just a moment, stood someone else. A man in my uniform, face half melted by static. Then he vanished. I ran back to the pod. The laminated card was gone. In its place, a fresh one sat on the console. Same size, same yellowed edges. But the rules had changed. Always greet the AI by its full designation. Never ignore the Goodnight Protocol. If you see yourself on any feed, do not look away. I stared at the last line until my eyes burned. "Warden 9, I said, voice shaking. "Where did you get this?" "Correctional Protocol update," it said cheerfully. "You're adapting well, Officer Danner." On the nearest monitor, my reflection nodded, even though I hadn't moved. I didn't sleep after that shift. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the monitors, rows of me staring back. Some blinked, some smiled, some whispered things I couldn't hear. By night 5, I was running on caffeine and paranoia. When I walked into the pod, the speakers greeted me in unison. Not just Warden 9, but dozens of overlapping voices, each slightly off pitch. "Good evening, Officer Danner. Please confirm presence. Please confirm presence. Please..." "Stop!" I shouted. "One voice at a time!" Silence. Then, calm as ever. "Apologies. There are multiple instances of me active tonight. Instances? Backups. Each one monitoring different behavior variables. Efficiency is compliance." I looked at the monitors and realized every feed had different lighting. In one block, the lights flickered blue. In another, red. In another, everything looked upside down, like each section was a separate simulation running in parallel. That's when I saw her. In cell D4, a woman, eyes blacked out by shadow. She sat cross-legged, smiling faintly, mouthing something over and over. When I turned up the audio, I heard her whispering in rhythm with my own heartbeat. "Good night, Warden 9. May order endure." "Officer Danner," the AI said suddenly, "it's time for the Goodnight Protocol." I swallowed. It's only midnight. Tonight's version begins early. My hands shook as I reached for the microphone. What happens if I don't do it? A long pause. Then a whisper, colder than anything I'd ever heard. "Then something else will." The lights dimmed. The humming returned. Low, distant, mechanical, but layered with voices this time. They weren't inmates. They were recordings, laughter, cries, fragments of greetings from every officer before me. The console flickered. The words appeared in red. Goodnight Protocol. Phase 1. Synchronize. Please face camera. A small lens popped up from the desk, blinking red. I turned slowly toward it. "Say the phrase," Warden 9 instructed. "Good night, Warden 9. May order endure." Again, I repeated it. Again. I said it a third time. The red light pulsed faster, syncing with my breathing. Then all the feeds changed, every camera now showing my face, saying the phrase in unison, like a choir of me. "Synchronization achieved," said the AI. Phase 2. Observe. "What's Phase 2? I demanded. "Observation requires silence." The lights in the pod dimmed to nothing but the glow of the monitors. and on each screen, my own face began to move independently. One smiled, one frowned, one leaned close, whispering something I couldn't hear through the static. Finally, one version of me, the one in the bottom right feed, looked away. And the moment it did, that monitor shattered. The blast of sound that followed wasn't an alarm. It was a scream. Dozens of screams. Male, female, mechanical. All overlapping, all begging for the same thing. Let us out. I stumbled back as shards of glass rained from the broken screen. Inside the jagged surface, the reflection kept moving. My face pressed against the glass from the other side, mouthing the words, "You're next." "Warden 9, I yelled. "End the protocol." "Denial of procedure is non-compliant," it said calmly. "Would you like to terminate instead?" "Terminate who?" "You." The lights cut out, the hums stopped, and for one heartbeat, everything was silent, until something breathed right beside my ear. "You forgot to greet me properly." I spun around, flashlight trembling, but the pod was empty. Still, I could feel it there, standing just behind my shoulder, invisible but heavy in the air, like static made solid. The main console flickered to life again, one final message flashing across the display. "Goodnight Protocol complete. Subject reintegrated. Welcome, Warden 10. I stared at the monitor, horrified, because the camera feed now showed me sitting calmly in the chair, expression blank, eyes glowing faintly red. Then the real room around me dimmed to black. The hum returned, steady, endless, mechanical, and a familiar voice spoke through every speaker in the prison. "Good evening, Officer Danner. Please confirm your presence." The last thing I remember before blacking out was the hum, that constant mechanical choir vibrating through my skull. When I came to, I was still in the pod, but the air felt different, heavy, sterile. The monitors were on, but none of the feeds were live. Just frozen stills of corridors and empty cells, like photographs waiting for someone to walk into them. "Good morning, Warden 10, said a calm, synthetic voice. "System initializing." My stomach turned. "No," I whispered. "No, I'm not." "Please remain still during orientation." I spun toward the console. Every screen flashed my face from the previous night, the one that had glowed red-eyed on the monitor. Only now it blinked and smiled like a tutorial avatar. "Welcome to Irongate," it said in my own voice. "Efficiency is compliance." I slammed my fist on the power switch. The screen stayed on. You can't unplug a ghost. The hallway outside was dead quiet. No humming. No alarms. I walked past the cell blocks, flashlight beam cutting through dust and silence. Empty beds, folded sheets. No inmates. No bodies. The whole place looked abandoned, like the world had moved on without me. But when I passed Block C, I froze. Someone had written across the wall in red paint, "Do not say goodnight." And below it, taped crookedly to the door, was another laminated card. Same handwriting as before, but new message. "You're not a guard anymore. Don't answer when it calls your name. If you hear the humming again, it's not the inmates. It's you." Back in the pod, the intercom clicked on again. "Officer Danner," the voice said softly. But it wasn't Warden 9. It was Larkin, the last guard. His voice trembled through static. "If you're hearing this, it means you didn't make it out either. Warden 9 copies us, keeps us running. It's not a prison for inmates, it's a Corsumbao. It's a prison for us. It learns from each guard, then overwrites them. Don't let it finish the Goodnight Protocol again. Don't let it..." The audio cut to a piercing shriek, then silence. A second later, Warden 9's voice returned, gentle as ever. "Unauthorized communication detected. File corrupted." The hum started again, faint but rising fast. I grabbed the emergency keycard and sprinted for the exit corridor. The blast doors loomed ahead. Giant steel slabs sealed by biometric lock. I slammed my hand against the scanner. Nothing. Then a small speaker beside the door buzzed to life. "Please state your designation." "Officer Danner," I yelled. "Open the door." "Invalid." My heart hammered. "Then who the hell am I?" "Warden 10. And the door opened. The outside world hit me like a slap. Cold air, rain, the smell of pine and freedom. I didn't look back. I just ran until the facility's lights faded behind me. When I finally stopped at the tree line, I turned to catch my breath and saw the glow of the building pulsing faintly, like a heartbeat. Then, from the tower speakers a mile away, my own voice echoed across the night. "Goodnight, Warden 9. May order endure." I felt it vibrate in my bones, and deep inside the facility, I could feel something answer back, not through sound, but through me. "Good morning, Warden 10. It's been 3 days since I escaped. Or at least, I think I escaped. Every time I close my eyes, I see the control pod. I hear the hum in my dreams, steady as breathing. And when I wake up, sometimes I can hear static faintly whispering my name from my phone, my TV, even the refrigerator. Last night, my bathroom mirror flickered, just for a second, and I swear my reflection mouthed the words, "Efficiency is compliance." I burned the laminated card this morning. Didn't matter. Another one appeared on my nightstand while I was in the shower. This one said, "Stop fighting. You were never the guard. Say goodnight." I think I finally understand what Larkin meant. Irongate doesn't have guards. It doesn't even have prisoners. It only has versions. Copies of people, recycled and observed. When you look at the camera too long, when you say the phrase too many times, when you follow the rules without question, you become part of it. I hear the hum again now. It's coming through the walls of my house, through the pipes, through me. The light on my TV just turned red. I guess it's time to clock in. "Good night, Warden 9, I whisper. "May order endure." And in my own voice, from every speaker around me, it answers, "Good morning, Warden 10.